This is absolutely disastrous for Harry. Harry's Invictus nightmare. With the Netflix broadcasting contract up in smoke, with Harry's rate for speaking engagements having gone from $1 million per appearance to $50,000.
That Meghan seems to think she's fighting with Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and of course William, the Prince of Wales.
By his father, King Charles, from Highgrove. Yes, this was before the appalling behaviour. This is now. Do you notice the picture that's missing from the wedding for very good reasons?
I do think that the British royal family should remove their titles from them because she does not have very high standards.
What just unfolded behind palace doors and private walls is sending shockwaves everywhere, and the silence from the very top is only making it louder than ever before. King Charles has quietly removed a photograph from his residence without offering a single explanation, not even a hint of clarification. And that silence is speaking volumes in royal circles. At the very same time, reports claim Harry was emotionally shaken after seeing a child's birthday image circulate publicly, reacting far more intensely than anyone expected. And it doesn't stop there, because Boeing reportedly stepping away from his last remaining source of income has only deepened the sense that everything around him is shifting fast and unpredictably. Inside that Montecito mansion, insiders are hinting at tension and emotional strain building up in ways the public is not being shown. And it's raising serious questions everywhere. This week has completely flipped the narrative upside down, and what they are not telling you might be even bigger than what has been reported so far. A birthday celebration became the unexpected trigger for everything that followed. Let's begin with that moment, because it all started with something seemingly innocent, a birthday post.
Prince Harry is apparently having this breakdown with friends, revealing to Richard Eden how the lovely new image of Charlotte left him feeling very sad.
That turned into a global comparison point that nobody saw coming. Princess Charlotte turned 11 this week, and as always, William and Catherine handled it in their signature way, calm, controlled, and deeply personal. They released a single photograph that instantly spread everywhere, showing a soft, natural light, a confident young girl smiling directly at the camera, full of warmth, ease, and a sense of belonging that felt undeniable. Meanwhile, across the conversation online and behind the scenes, Harry's reaction was described in a very different tone, and it escalated quickly in the reporting. Sources claim it took him only minutes to become emotionally overwhelmed after seeing the image circulate so widely, and that detail alone has fueled endless debate. Now, his team wants the public to understand his state as sadness. That is the exact word being used repeatedly. Sadness. Friends speaking to royal journalist Richard Eden described Harry as deeply affected after watching Charlotte's photograph dominate headlines across Britain, and the framing was emotionally intense from the start. They described him as devastated, especially when thinking about Archie, who has just turned 7, and Lilibet, who is 4, growing up far away from cousins they barely interact with, separated by geography and circumstance that cannot be easily undone. The narrative being pushed is about distance, loss of connection, and a fractured sense of family continuity. And that thought is important because it keeps resurfacing in every layer of the story as more details emerge. But pause on Charlotte's image for a moment.
Prince Harry is having such a nervous breakdown that a picture of his young niece celebrating her birthday, lovely young woman who he no longer has anything to do with because of his appalling treatment of her parents, sends him into some type of meltdown. The biggest meltdown he's feeling right now is as a result of his erasal.
Because the contrast being drawn here is very deliberate. Her photograph is direct, open, and fully visible. Her expression confident and centered, almost symbolic in how it presents a moment of stability and visibility. Now shift to what was posted for Archie's 7th birthday during the same week, and the difference becomes impossible for many to ignore. 2 images were shared publicly, and each one sparked its own wave of discussion. The first image was an older baby photograph from 2019, showing Harry asleep on a sofa with a newborn resting on his chest, a moment captured long ago and now presented again in a completely different context. It wasn't just a photo, it was a photograph of a photograph, held in Meghan's hand, carefully framed and deliberately chosen. Some observers noted that this type of image felt safer for public sharing, especially because the child in that image no longer resembles the newborn from years ago, making it less personally revealing while still emotionally symbolic. The second image showed two small children walking away from the camera along a shoreline, their backs turned completely, faces hidden from view, carrying walking sticks as they moved toward a distant landscape with mountains fading into the background. This is not the first time this style has been used either. In fact, it marks a repeating pattern, with last year showing a sunset silhouette instead of clear facial visibility, and this year again choosing.
For an old friend of the Duke of Sussex tells Richard Eden that Harry desperately wishes his own children, Prince Archie, who turned 7 yesterday, and Princess Lilibet 4, enjoyed the same sort of childhood as their cousins Charlotte, Prince George, and Prince Louis. Who took that right and that opportunity away from them? Chickens coming home to roost is the saying that rings a bell here. This is what the pal told Mr. Eden. Archie and Lily are having a lovely time in California, a lovely time as prisoners in that mansion. But Harry is very sad that they are missing out on life with the rest of their family. During his return visit to Britain last September, Harry told a friend that he and his wife Meghan plan to educate their children in this country, meaning the UK. Harry feels his children are missing out on the extensive family network that their cousins are enjoying.
Meghan posted 2 photographs to her own Instagram on Wednesday afternoon to mark her son Archie's 7th birthday. The first one is a printed copy of an image from 2019, Harry on a couch, a sleeping newborn on his chest. The whole thing held up in Meghan's own hand for the camera. A photograph of a photograph, a copy of a copy.
Distance, shadow, and separation over direct exposure. Charlotte looks directly at the world in her image, while Archie is shown moving away from the lens entirely, and that visual contrast has become the center of online debate. That contrast is exactly what is driving the conversation right now, because people are dissecting every detail and interpreting it in completely different ways, and the reactions are not quiet at all. Here is where things take a sharper turn, because Harry's past decisions are being pulled back into the spotlight again with renewed intensity. If you rewind to the moment he left Britain, the imagery was very different. A private jet departure, described by some as a freedom flight.
Oh well, image 2 is the shoreline shot. Archie and Lily walking away from the camera, hand in hand, facing the water. Mountain ridge in the distance. Archie is carrying a long walking stick. Both the children are reddish blonde. And the outlets are quick to point out the Diana Ginger inheritance. The only public confirmation we have ever been given that the children look very much like their grandmother. And both children, in the only contemporary frame Meghan was willing to let the public see, and pointed in the wrong direction for the camera.
Again, there's a lot of propaganda being put out there. Can I just tell you, he hasn't maintained the friends and the confidants from his school days, because I know some of those guys, and they find his behaviour truly reprehensible. They find the way that he treats the British royal family truly reprehensible. So can we please stop this propaganda that Harry is still in touch with all of these old mates? No. Most of them think that he is a scumbag and feel like the rest of the British public.
Marked by celebration, relief, and a sense of breaking away from everything he had known. He was stepping out of royal life, reportedly calling it liberation, leaving behind palaces, structured routines, and the lifelong safety net that came with royal protection and privilege. At the time, he later spoke to Oprah Winfrey and made serious claims about the royal family, including allegations that sent shockwaves across global media. The interview was watched worldwide and instantly became part of modern royal history. Then came the book Spare, which publicly detailed private family dynamics, emotional struggles, and deeply personal moments involving his father, his brother, and other members of the royal household, all published on a massive commercial scale. He described aspects of his childhood as traumatic, and at the time, he positioned leaving royal life as a necessary escape from that environment, something he believed he had to do. But now, years later, the narrative being reported has shifted again in a dramatic way, and it is creating a contradiction that people are not overlooking. Because now, according to current reporting, Harry is expressing emotional pain over his children being distant from the very life he once stepped away from. And that contradiction is what people are struggling to reconcile. Public reaction has been intense, especially online, where comments are multiplying fast and questions are being asked repeatedly about timing, motivation, and consistency. One widely circulated comment even questioned the emotional shift directly, pointing out the difference between past public statements and current reported feelings. And that discussion alone has gained massive attention. And behind all of this, the pattern of financial and social positioning is also being examined closely. At one point, the momentum was strong. Netflix deals, Spotify partnerships, and speaking engagements reportedly reaching extremely high figures, along with strong ties to influential Hollywood circles. The Clooneys were reportedly connected at one stage. The Obamas were seen as warm and welcoming. Oprah provided a major platform, and Serena Williams expressed visible support during key moments. Hollywood, for a time, appeared fully open to them, offering visibility, opportunities, and access to elite cultural spaces. But over time, according to observers, that network began to shift, with relationships cooling, opportunities narrowing, and attention moving elsewhere as new stories emerged in the entertainment landscape. Now, the public perception is that many of those once strong connections are no longer as visible as they were before, and that change is being widely discussed. In the middle of all this, Harry is portrayed as watching developments unfold from California, observing public conversations, images, and reactions that continue to circulate globally. The contrast between past decisions and present emotions is what is fueling most of the debate right now, and it is not slowing down anytime soon. You made your choices, Harry, and now the world is watching how every consequence unfolds in real time. Second, a sudden shift inside one of the most closely watched royal residences has triggered fresh waves of speculation. And this time, it started with something as simple as a photograph quietly disappearing from view at Highgrove, shaking online observers to their core. Royal photographer Chris Jackson recently visited Highgrove, the private countryside residence of King Charles in Gloucestershire, and what seemed like an ordinary professional visit quickly turned into a global talking point. Chris Jackson was there hosting an event and casually sharing Instagram stories from inside the property, the kind of behind-the-scenes glimpses that usually go unnoticed and fade instantly into social media noise. But this time, eagle-eyed royal watchers zoomed in on every frame, scanning background details with intense precision until something small on a wooden side table inside a sitting room completely derailed the conversation. That tiny detail, almost invisible at first glance, sparked immediate chaos online as people realized something familiar was no longer there. For nearly 8 years, a framed wedding photograph of Harry and Meghan Markle from their 2018 ceremony had reportedly sat on that exact table inside Highgrove, quietly visible in past footage and interviews, almost like a permanent fixture of the room's identity. But now, it was gone, and that absence hit harder than anyone expected. Just last year, in footage from influencer Lydia Millen's visit to Highgrove, the same photograph was clearly positioned in view, visible, centered, and unmistakably part of the room's curated display. It wasn't hidden or subtle. It was deliberately placed, suggesting meaning, presence, and continuity within the royal household space. This week, however, that same space looks different. The wedding photo has been removed entirely and replaced with 2 new framed images, one showing Harry standing alongside William, Prince of Wales, and King Charles in earlier, more harmonious times, and another showing King Charles III holding a young Prince Louis in a warm, family-centered moment. 2 different eras, 2 different messages, and a visual contrast that immediately set the internet on fire. Official outlets like Hello magazine quickly suggested a more casual explanation that the photograph may have simply been moved elsewhere inside the residence, as decorations and frames often rotate in large homes like Highgrove. But that explanation did little to calm the storm online, because Highgrove is not just any residence. This is the private country home of King Charles III, a man known for his extreme attention to detail and personal involvement in every corner of the estate. Every plant, every pathway, every color choice is reportedly selected or approved by him directly, making the space feel more like a living extension of his personality than a simple residence. Observers argue that nothing inside Highgrove is ever accidental. Not a single object on a table is said to be placed without intention, and not a single visual change happens without meaning attached to it, especially in rooms that appear in public-facing media or photography. And then the timing made everything even more explosive. The photograph disappeared during a highly sensitive week, right around Archie's 7th birthday, just 24 hours after Meghan posted a carefully curated shoreline image of her children. And while royal events were unfolding across Britain, including garden receptions and anniversary-related commemorations tied to King Charles's reign, that overlap immediately fueled speculation that this was more than simple interior decoration. To many observers, it felt like timing loaded with intention, even if no official statement confirmed anything at all. This is where interpretation splits sharply, because within royal culture, communication does not always come through direct statements or public responses. Instead, it often comes through symbolism, positioning, presence, and absence, what is shown, what is removed, and what quietly replaces something else without a single word being spoken. Supporters of this interpretation argue that the disappearance of the wedding portrait is part of that silent language, not spoken rejection, but visual repositioning, a shift from past symbolism toward future-facing imagery, highlighted by the presence of younger generations like Prince Louis, replacing older shared memories in the visual narrative of the room. And online reaction has been intense, with thousands of people interpreting the change as deliberate messaging aimed at shaping perception without confrontation. One widely circulated comment with hundreds of likes demanded even stronger action, calling for formal consequences rather than symbolic gestures, reflecting how emotionally charged the public response has become. At the same time, the conversation expanded beyond photographs and into deeper claims about what is happening privately behind the scenes. Veteran tabloid journalist Rob Shooter, speaking on Maureen Callahan's podcast, reignited debate by describing ongoing reporting around the Sussex dynamic, referencing years of coverage surrounding the public evolution of the Harry and Meghan Markle partnership. According to those discussions, the couple's lives inside their Montecito residence are increasingly structured in separate directions, with different routines, different professional engagements, and different social environments forming around them. Some reports even suggest minimal overlap in daily interests beyond shared branding and business identity tied to the Sussex name. And that idea of a shared brand existing more strongly than shared daily life has become one of the most debated points in recent commentary. Because if the public-facing identity is the merger, then the personal question becomes what remains underneath it. Outside of ventures tied to media, branding, and commercial projects, observers claim the overlap between their individual lives appears limited, at least in terms of social circles and day-to-day engagement. And this is where a new narrative has taken hold in commentary spaces. Inside the household, roles are being described in very different terms depending on the source, with some suggesting a division of responsibilities that places Harry in a more home-centered routine. In those accounts, he's increasingly associated with school runs, family logistics, and daily parenting duties, while Meghan is described as focusing on brand development, meetings, and external business strategy through digital platforms and professional calls. Even routine domestic moments are being reframed online into symbolic storytelling, turned into broader arguments about lifestyle direction and personal identity within the household. None of this is officially confirmed by the couple themselves, but that has not stopped speculation from accelerating across media and social platforms. And in the middle of all this noise, the original trigger remains the same: a photograph that disappeared from a table inside Highgrove, quietly replaced by different images, yet powerful enough to ignite an entire week of debate, interpretation, and emotional reaction across the public sphere. And as people continue dissecting every frame, every absence, and every replacement, the conversation only grows louder, pulling every detail into a wider narrative that refuses to settle or fade away. Everything about Harry's situation today looks radically different from the life he once held, and that contrast is becoming impossible to ignore as new details keep surfacing in public conversation. Just 6 years ago, Prince Harry stood in a position of global recognition and institutional purpose, serving as Captain General of the Royal Marines and acting as one of the most visible figures for veterans across the entire Commonwealth. Back then, he wasn't just symbolic. He had structure, authority, and a clearly defined role that carried weight within the royal system and beyond it. He represented military charities, attended high-level commemorations, and was deeply embedded in a network that gave him both identity and direction. Fast forward to today, and the picture being painted in commentary circles is starkly different. Now, according to ongoing public discussion, he is primarily seen doing school routines, managing family logistics, and living a domestic-centered life, while Meghan Markle focuses on business operations, brand development, and external engagements tied to their commercial ventures. That shift alone has fueled endless debate about identity, purpose, and direction. But the conversation quickly escalates when it turns toward one of the most sensitive topics being discussed online right now: the children. A major question circulating across commentary spaces is whether Meghan would ever agree to relocating their children to the United Kingdom for schooling or long-term residence, and the answer being repeated in those discussions is extremely firm and unwavering. According to this narrative, the expectation is no, and the reasoning being presented goes far beyond simple preference. The argument being made is rooted in legal and jurisdictional consequences tied to residency and custody frameworks between California and the United Kingdom. If the children were to become UK-based residents, the legal environment surrounding custody and parental control would shift dramatically, potentially reducing the influence of California-based protections that currently apply under US state jurisdiction. That idea alone has become a major talking point in online debates, with people speculating about what relocation would mean in practical terms for both parents. Supporters of this interpretation claim that once residency shifts, leverage shifts with it, and in high-conflict custody scenarios, jurisdiction can become everything. In this framing, the children remaining in California is seen as a stabilizing decision for one side of the family dynamic and a limiting factor for any proposed relocation. And from that perspective, the idea of a full-time UK-based childhood becomes not just unlikely, but completely off the table, while the current structure remains unchanged. That belief has fueled even more discussion around long-term family planning, separation geography, and what future arrangements might realistically look like. Because underneath all of this speculation sits a much deeper emotional narrative about distance, identity, and belonging. But then the conversation shifts sharply again, this time toward money, credibility, and institutional support. Because according to recent reporting trends, what Prince Harry once had in terms of commercial and cultural momentum has significantly changed over time. Deals, partnerships, and high-profile collaborations that once surrounded the couple have reportedly reduced, paused, or shifted direction, leaving fewer visible pillars supporting their post-royal brand ecosystem. And now, the most discussed example in this week's conversation is something that hit far harder than expected: the Invictus Games. The Invictus Games, founded by Prince Harry, has long been positioned as one of the most meaningful and respected initiatives in his post-royal life, centered on wounded, injured, and sick veterans from military service. It has been widely recognized as a rare area where public perception remains strongly supportive because the mission itself is grounded in rehabilitation, competition, and recovery for those who served. But even here, controversy has entered the conversation. Reports suggest that major corporate backing has shifted, with Boeing reportedly stepping away from continued association, sparking widespread debate about sponsorship confidence and long-term sustainability. Boeing, one of the largest aerospace corporations in the world, was previously described as a major partner capable of supporting the initiative at a scale that would barely impact its finances. Yet, according to commentary circulating this week, that partnership did not continue in the way many expected, raising questions about corporate alignment and strategic decisions. At the same time, sponsorship data being circulated online has intensified scrutiny. It is being claimed that recent editions of the Games have seen fluctuations in partner numbers, with some events showing stronger corporate participation than others, and upcoming editions reportedly facing tighter sponsorship pools. For Birmingham 2027 specifically, commentary suggests a significantly smaller number of sponsors compared to earlier years, alongside substantial funding commitments from public sources to support hosting costs. And this is where public frustration enters the conversation in a much more emotional way. Because at the heart of the Invictus Games are the veterans themselves, the injured soldiers, amputees, trauma survivors, and individuals who carry the long-term physical and psychological impact of military service. These are people who, according to supporters of the event, represent the true core of its mission. Yet criticism online has focused on the financial structure surrounding participation. Some commentators have pointed out that competitors often fund their own travel and accommodation costs, even while the event itself requires significant operational budgets that reach into tens of millions depending on location and scale. Figures being discussed publicly include major event costs reaching tens of millions of dollars, with per-athlete cost breakdowns becoming a focal point in online debates. Comparisons have also been drawn to other similar sporting initiatives, which operate on significantly smaller annual budgets while maintaining similar competitive structures. And this contrast has fueled a wave of commentary, questioning efficiency, funding priorities, and the balance between spectacle and direct veteran support. One widely shared comment captured the emotional tone of this debate, expressing frustration on behalf of veterans who are seen as the central reason the event exists in the first place. As this discussion intensified, observers also began linking sponsorship decisions to broader brand perception issues. Boeing's reported withdrawal, in this framing, is interpreted not just as a financial decision, but as a reputational calculation. Observers claim companies assess visibility, alignment, and long-term association before committing to major sponsorships, and any perceived instability can shift those decisions quickly. And in that same conversation, references were made to public appearances, brand activity, and commercial overlaps connected to the Sussex name, with critics and supporters interpreting the same events in completely opposite ways. This has created a polarized environment where every decision is analyzed through a financial, reputational, or political lens. But the story does not end there. because another development this week added an entirely different layer of tension. A reported incident involving Prince Andrew near Sandringham has circulated widely, described as a confrontation during a late evening walk with security present. According to reports being discussed publicly, an individual allegedly approached aggressively before being intercepted by police, leading to an arrest and subsequent charges involving threatening behaviour and possession of a weapon. But underneath this debate lies an even more sensitive layer of speculation being circulated online. Concerns about what certain individuals connected to past investigations may or may not represent in ongoing legal contexts. These discussions have drawn attention back to long-running controversies surrounding Jeffrey Epstein and related investigations, with commentators emphasizing the importance of preserving due process and legal clarity over speculation. Meanwhile, official institutions remain silent, maintaining their traditional approach of avoiding public commentary on sensitive legal and reputational matters. And as all of this continues to unfold in real time, one thing is certain: every new development only pulls more attention, more debate, and more unanswered questions into the spotlight. Stay tuned, because this story is far from finished, and the next update could shift everything once again. Like, comment, and subscribe for more updates as this situation continues to evolve.